Proverbs 3:1. Beni torati al tishkach, u mitzvotai yitzor libecha. So we have here today the beginning of chapter 3. So we get my son, again here as the vocative. And then notice in the parallel fashion here, we get torati, my Torah, or my instruction. Notice this is singular. So notice the T suffix here is the 1CS suffix. And then we get the at in here as well. I'm going to draw this like this. This is the at aspect of it, which the at you might recognize as the feminine singular construct. Now your vowel lengthens here because it's an open pretonic syllable, but the at plus the first common singular pronominal suffix on a singular noun gives us instruction. So my son, my instruction, do not forget. Now, you'll notice here the verb is a 2ms. We have that tav preformative. The verbal root that we have here is shin kaf chet, and so we have a pretty straightforward verb here. Do not forget. Now, notice that al is the negation here, and usually when we get al, we are looking at a jussive verb. So this is a jussive 2ms verb. And when we get all plus the jussive, what we end up with is a prohibition, but for a specific situation. If you want to look at this a little bit further, you can check out Williams' Hebrew syntax that we've referred to before. If you go to section 402, you'll be looking at al plus the jussive for a prohibition. And again, this is going to be a specific situation that may not be long-lasting, whereas you may know lo plus the indicative or lo plus the imperfect. This is going to give you a specific situation that's going to be a general situation that has a more permanent prohibition. So one way that my professor would talk about this is lo plus the indicative is something like the 10 Commandments type of prohibition, whereas al plus the jussive is going to be just a more general prohibition. So we're looking here at a negative command, basically. So we get something like, my son, my instruction, do not forget. Now, I can't help here except for my brain to go back to the book of Deuteronomy and see this word forget, and very oftentimes is preceded by something like pen, lest you forget. So there's some sort of command in front of this followed by pen, lest you forget. And oftentimes that command that's in front of it is something like, walk in my ways, keep my statutes, follow my commands, lest you forget. Now that's all in Deuteronomy, but you can see these same kind of concepts here in Proverbs as well. My son, my instruction, do not forget it. In other words, walk in my ways, listen to what I have to say, don't forget these things. Next, in parallel fashion, we get here my commandments, my commands, we might say, is fronted. So again, we had Torah fronted. Here we have commands fronted. Now this time, you might notice I said commands, plural. And if you look at this, we have ot plus the 1CS suffix on a plural noun. So notice this one here is hirikyod. It's a 1CS on a singular. Now we get the patachyod, 1CS on a plural noun, so we get commands. And my commands, let your heart keep. Let your heart keep. Now, I did that in such a way that this sounds jussive. Andrew Steinman actually suggests that in light of the negative command up here, the prohibition with all plus the jussive. I think that works. Let your heart guard or keep. So here we have with the verb, the verbal root is natsar. And so what you're seeing here is this one noon that has assimilated here. We've got a call imperfect, third masculine singular, but in context, I think we can go jussive. My commands, let your heart guard. Now, last thing here that we want to mention is notice this dagesh in the bait of lev. So this is going to be the word lave in this sense with heart, but we also have the morphology of the word heart that is this levav, and you get that kind of gemination idea here. And I think that's what's happening right here in this case with this dagesh. You're getting the representation of both of these baits, even though we do have this short form that is attested. So once we add that suffix on, the 2ms pronominal suffix, that dagesh comes back out. That actually would have been here if we want to think of it as a hovering dagesh or something like that. That's what my professor called them. So there we go. My son, my instructions do not forget, and my commandments, let your heart guard them diligently, keep them, preserve them.